Greetings, everyone. Keith here. Hoping everyone's having a good day. Enjoying life, living life, loving life. Be sure to hit those buttons, show your support. And there's a PayPal link below for anyone that wants to share some love. All is appreciated.
Accounted for, my name's been read, written in the ledger where the lamb was led. Did not the body, did not the blood pay every debt in the flood of love? So tell me now, what's left to owe? When mercy calls, I can't say no. Are we too old? No man anything, just grace erase what the law might bring. If love's the all, then love fulfills all that binds all their wills. Silver spent, the temples fall, but the heart still whispers through it all. Render to God what is divine, and what remains is only mine. So tell me now, what's mine to keep when every truth cuts dark and deep? Are we who owe no man anything? Does the blood absolve the suffering? If love's the law, then I am free. But is that law the law of me? If I am bought, I am not sold. If I am dust, I still am gold. The measure's met, the balance true. No debt remains, save love for you. Are we to owe no man anything? Did not the Christ pay everything? The law fulfilled, the veil torn through. Now the law of me is loving you.
Greetings, everybody. Keith here. Hoping everybody's having a good day, enjoying life, living life, loving life. Please hit those like, share, and subscribe buttons. There's a PayPal link down below for anybody who wants to share some love. And we're going to go over some criminal officers, systemic criminal activity. How much evidence do you need to see? First one we've got tonight is a conviction. I don't know if you guys remember the Sonia Massey, the woman that was killed in her own kitchen. with a pan of boiling water. Let's take a look. The officer that committed this crime back in July of last year has been found guilty by jury.
Tonight in Illinois, former Sheriff's Deputy Sean Grayson guilty of second-degree murder in the shooting of 36-year-old Sonia Massey.
It's guilty. Second degree.
The verdict carrying a sentence of up to 20 years in prison, but Massey's family and other supporters had been hoping for a conviction on first-degree murder.
I'm fueled by rage right now. If you get an officer that says he's going to shoot you in the face, and then he shoots you in the face, and you only get second-degree murder?
Grace.
Yeah, I question that, because that's one of those fine points that they will clarify and not be ambiguous about if they was to bring a charge against a common man of the general public who would say that to a neighbor or something, I'm going to shoot you in the face, and then they end up getting a 911 call because he shot him in the face. They would most certainly go after him for first-degree murder. Planned, preemptive, intent, with specific stating, or a specific statement clarifying that I'm going to shoot you in the face is one of those elements that they would most certainly use against you in a court of law. Yet here they don't. So even when this officer was found guilty, they gave him leniency on a lesser charge that most certainly should have been questioned even further and said, no, we're going to pull first degree. But they didn't charge him with first degree. They charged him with second degree. So the jury had no out about it except to say, no, we're not going to find him guilty of second degree. Then they could have possibly brought him back up on first degree charges. But again, what it comes to is the systemic bias behind the scenes by all these people that are signing off for these charges against this officer to a light scale. I mean, it does seem like 20 years seems like a lot, but shit, I got fucking 10 years when I was 18 for second-degree robbery. And that was certainly amplified. Should have been a fifth-degree theft. So in situations for the common man, they amplify them. And in their public official capacities, they deplete them. And my question still remains about all the people in the background that are signing off on all this bullshit. Where is their criminal prosecution?
Stoic as the verdict was read. The jury ultimately finding Grayson shot Massey in her kitchen last year and that his claim of needing to use deadly force was unreasonable. This after Grayson testified he perceived Massey's behavior as a threat. The Springfield mother of two had called 911 about a possible prowler picking up a pot of boiling water and saying, prosecutors arguing Grayson could have left Massey's home after she ducked behind her counter and apologized. Tonight, Massey's father angry but hopeful Grayson will receive the maximum sentence.
Because he showed no
Okay, what I'm going to point out here in this video, I want you to pay close attention. This guy already has his weapon already drawn. You're going to see another guy enter the right side of the screen here by the big screen TV, and he's going to draw his weapon. Okay, he's already in the environment, and he's going to step over and draw his weapon against this woman as well, with no necessity whatsoever, just an indication by his partner that he pulled his weapon. That is my discernment.
Counter and apologize. Tonight, Massey's father angry but hopeful Grayson will receive the maximum sentence.
Because he showed no remorse. He was so cocky throughout this whole trial.
You felt like he was cocky.
Oh yeah. Until today, when
Until he was convicted.
Yeah. That knocked the smirk off.
And Maggie, we heard it right there. The Massey family furious. They didn't get that first-degree murder conviction. And this was a result of a late move by the defense. Explain.
Yeah, Tom, that's right. Right before closing arguments, the defense introducing that option of second-degree murder, perhaps to spare Grayson the possible life sentence that could have come with a first-degree murder.
See, and there's another point of contention, is that you're giving the jury multiple charges that weren't brought up in the first place. So this is like a plea deal at the very end. And I want you guys to understand, a plea deal is extortion. You either go to trial on these charges and take that chance of being convicted for life, or you accept a plea deal. That's extortion. You either do this or this is going to happen.
Conviction. Tonight, Grayson's attorney's not commenting. He's set to be sentenced in January. Tom.
Of course there's no comment. Of course there's no comment. So let's check out the next one.
And you probably haven't heard much about this next story because there's a D next to the lawmaker's name. But one former county commissioner in Oregon, a Democrat, is now allegedly a fugitive from justice, accused of scamming an elderly man out of 30 grand and snatching her son from school before skipping the country. Jason Matera has the details on a case that the legacy media just simply won't report on.
So yeah, it's another thing where they slide things under the rug. You got somebody that's up on federal indictments for fraud, theft, identity theft, things like that. And rather than being held accountable, she's the first one that's going to grab her children and run and get out of the country. These people are not going to stand up to accountability even when they're caught. They're going to try every trick in the book. And you people are the ones that keep voting them into office.
Melissa Fireside, the newly elected Democrat county commissioner in Oregon, has gone from public servant to fugitive. Prosecutors say she exploited an elderly man in a financial scheme. And now she's vanished, wanted by law enforcement.
And guess who it is? You think it would be somebody she doesn't even know or something like that. And I'm going to tell you from firsthand experience, fuck family. They're the ones that'll fucking stab you in the back. So pay attention. You need to learn how to stand up on your own, despite any government, despite any family, by knowing your true observance and sticking to the truth. When you start accepting lies, even if they're from your family, and start falling into that nepotistic line, that's on you. You're the one that was induced. You're the one that was weak. You're the one that succumbed to the weakness of being able to tell a lie in a popularity contest because you want to be popular.
Fireside took office in January after her 2024 election win in Clackamas County. But 2 months after being sworn in, she was slapped with an indictment.
The shock is how extensive and horrific the actual charges and the amount of abuse that the victim had to suffer because of her actions.
Fireside's facing a stack of felonies, including first-degree theft, identity theft, and forgery. Investigators say she defrauded her mother's 83-year-old boyfriend and assisted
Her mother's 83-year-old boyfriend. The 83-year-old boyfriend of her very own mother, who is the one that's going to sit by her mother's side on the way out the door of this material earth, providing for her, protecting her the best he can. And this little bitch is going to cut the lifeline of her very own mother. Think about that, folks.
care resident using his identity to access his bank account, forge his name, and drain tens of thousands of dollars.
Fireside concealed these allegations from voters before her election.
She resigned as a lawmaker.
So the allegations were already there, and she ran for election. And then when she got the office, they finalized the charges and indicted her 2 months into office, and she took off. So again, this is on the voters not digging in and doing their research. They just want to believe. I'm telling you, folks, don't believe me. Don't believe the neighbor. Don't believe your government. And for crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you know. And when you completely and blindly, like sheep, keep voting for people and to put them into office century after century, that is definitely on you.
On March 7th, under pressure from voters and county leaders. After Fireside was indicted, the court cut her a break. She could walk free, but only under strict conditions. One of those conditions was to stay put in Oregon until her December trial got underway. But now, she's gone. Court records obtained by Newsmax allege that she took a one-way flight from Mexico to Amsterdam on October 28th.
I can drop the link if anybody wants to come up and join the panel. That's for sure. Just let me know in chat if you want me to drop the link.
Booked under an Austrian passport. Prosecutors think she used a fake ID to slip into Mexico and even took her 9-year-old son with her. The boy's father is alarmed, worried for his child's safety, while the woman who once swore to serve the public is now considered to be on the run.
Look at the face on this woman. Look at her eyes. These are the kind of people you put in your offices. When if you think you're the good man, why don't you step in? Why don't you step up and take that responsibility? See, these things only happen because good men stand by and allow them.
Melissa, Fireside is still missing and the manhunt is intensifying. The Oregon Department of Justice is now calling on the public for help and has posted a tip line, you can see it there, to track her down. But Chris, this isn't just about bringing home her 9-year-old son. It's also about making sure Fireside is held accountable for allegedly scamming a senior citizen out of his savings, a man who was simply trying to enjoy his retirement years.
Jason.
Yeah, that's a good point there. And that's why I mentioned, she took her kid and ran off. She should have left. The Fallen Slaves Us All says she should have left the child with his dad. And by taking the child under the pretenses that she's already been investigated and now indicted and going to court on it, then she skips out and takes the child with her. What do you think that she's going to do with that child and raising that child out there? You think she's going to bring him up in the ways of the Lord? I absolutely agree. My main concern would be the child. And of course, like this guy here said, of course, making sure that she's held accountable.
Why am I not surprised? There's been barely a whisper about this in the leftist press. I'm curious because I'm a political kind of guy. I kind of watch these things. What issues did she actually run on to convince Democrat voters that she should be a county commissioner in the state of Oregon?
Absolutely. What was her platform? That she was a good mama, separated from her husband? See, that's the problem, guys. You'll see a nice rounded face of a pretty woman, and you're already trapped. And ladies out there, oh, she's a strong, independent, single mom. Pathetic.
So get this, Chris. This woman campaigned on bringing economic security and affordability to Clackamas County, Oregon, even trotting out her elderly mom as proof that.
Yeah, Ashton, that's bringing a child up in the ways of the Lord so they can put an order to things by using the proper words and things like that, and realizing that your actions speak louder than words. You can't have children growing up like that under a strong, independent, single mom. See, that's the problem. Society thinks it's okay with a majority of the children being raised by desolate mothers. Read the scriptures again. I urge everyone to understand Isaiah 54 in whole, where it starts out with sing, though thou art barren and didn't travail with child, for there are more desolate children than there are of the married wife. And then it goes on to explain how he hid his face from us, and he apologized for that. Many people don't recognize Isaiah 54 as an apology, and that from now on, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. And in every tongue that rises up against you in judgment, you shall condemn. This is the inheritance of the word, or the inheritance of the righteousness of, or the inheritance of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is of me. This is telling you, as long as you speak the truth, no lying tongue will be able to place his false judgment on you. That's the thing about bringing a child away from the Lord, is now he will do the same thing as many other people, many other desolate children and strong, independent single mamas, bringing them up thinking that their feelers are important. They're not. We have to live in this natural world with our instinctual observances to put an order to things. That's logic and reason. The logic to not poking the bear is that the bear will and can kill you anytime it wants, not just when you're poking it.
She understood the financial struggles families face, but while she was campaigning on affordability and using her mom as a political prop, she was allegedly ripping off her mom's elderly boyfriend for tens of thousands of dollars.
Thank you, crime correspondent Jason.
And so many of us think that the family is the last one we have to worry about. And I keep telling you, you have to worry about everybody. Don't believe me. Don't believe your neighbor. Don't believe your government. And for crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Do your research so you can know, so you can take care of yourself when it comes time to. Otherwise, you keep being the same dependent people, dependent upon somebody else, claiming you're free in this free American society. Wonderful concept. Wonderful concept. Look in your pocket and see whose ID is in your pocket. Is that a state ID while you claim to be free under a marriage license, meaning it's a commercial event? Come on, people, wake up.
Matera, as the old saying goes, folks, you cannot make this stuff up.
No, you can't. Only the delusional mind can make this up. And then you have to observe it in reality, because you're the one that stood by day after day, week after week, year after year, decade after decade, century after century, allowing it to continue and foment even bigger and bigger governments. Let's look at the next one. An amazing case.
Hey, everybody.
An amazing case about normalizing and desensitizing. This one here is a Oklahoma outrage. It says, sickening teen predator gets a free pass. This kid literally got community service for rape, kidnapping, assault, strangulation. Heinous acts you would think only an adult would carry out. And yet today we're hearing about 9 and 10-year-olds. This one here, I don't know exactly how old he is, but he's not 9 or 10. He's like 14 or so. But it's still, those are acts you would expect of adults. Where are the adults when these kids are committing these crimes? Oh, I'll bet it's a single, independent, powerful mama.
I'm Ashley Banfield, and this is Drop Dead Serious. I have got to tell you about a man named Jesse Mack Butler. Remember that name, Jesse Mack Butler, because you're going to hear it a lot. He is 18 years old, and he is from Stillwater.
And real quick here, you'll notice this one down here. High school rapist cries to his mommy as cops slap on cuffs. Right? And it's a mommy that let this kid off of these crimes, heinous crimes, slap on the wrist. It was a mommy judge that did that.
Oklahoma. That is a college town. It's home to Oklahoma State University, which is about an hour north of Oak City if you're driving. Back in March, when Jesse Mack Butler was just 17 years old, he was charged as an adult with a string of sadistic sex crimes against 2 girls.
Okay, 17. So we have an age at 17 years old, charged as a minor. I mean, by the time you're 17 years of age, many people already know this. I mean, many moms and dads are teaching about good touch, bad touch to their children when they're 5. You know, stranger danger, things like that. So we can't avoid the fact that this kid that's going to Stillwater High School certainly knows the criminal elements, the heinous nature of what he did.
Fellow students at Stillwater High School. One of those girls was choked unconscious and almost died, according to her doctor. Jesse Butler was charged with 10 felony counts in all, and it is important to hear
10 felony counts in all. That's a lot of counts in one situation for one child, one situation. And they're all white. Not a one of them went through.
Hear what those counts are, to hear the list of charges that he faced because they were so serious. 2 attempted rapes, 3 charges of by instrumentation, which I will leave you to think that through. There's an instrument, that's the charge. 1 count of sexual battery.
Let's make sure everybody understands here. Just because this bitch is allowing censorship, let's understand this is rape. When they're cutting out the sound there, she's saying rape. Okay?
1 count of forcible oral. That's a tough one because most people think of that as something from behind. You can think through that charge as something that happened with the mouth. 2 counts of domestic assault and battery by strangulation, and 1 count of domestic assault and battery. And let me be real clear, there were bigger, more widespread charges that the state could have thrown at this person.
Absolutely, because my first question here is, why are they pressing domestic assault charges? There was no domestic relationship. How do you have a domestic relationship in minor children, first of all? And if it's simply just because they're related socially through the school, then that is not domestic. That's just a domestic type environment where they associate. They themselves are not domestic to each other.
Like attempted murder, the 2 alleged victims and their families had every reason to believe that the wheels of justice were hard at work for them, right? For them, but also for Jesse Mack Butler. He deserved justice. Everybody does in this country. But before I tell you what actually ended up happening, let me tell you why Jesse Mack Butler faced those 10 charges, what he actually did to those girls. You should know that what I'm about to talk about is extremely graphic in detail, okay? The descriptions are despicable, but they're critical to the story, especially when you find out how the judge in this story, Judge Susan Worthington, came down on this case.
Judge Susan Worthington. Doesn't sound like she's worth it.
Police affidavit says a girl identified as L.S. because she's a minor dated Jesse Butler for about 3 months starting in January of last year. She was 16 years old at the time. And during that time, this victim said that Jesse Butler repeatedly raped her and attempted to rape her and would strangle her if she refused. The teenage girl actually needed surgery to repair damage that was done to her neck by the strangulation. And her doctor told her that she would have died had that strangulation lasted another 30 seconds. The girl says she gave in to Jesse Mack Butler because he repeatedly threatened to kill her and kill her family if she didn't. A separate affidavit says that in March of that year, last year, Butler took up with another 16-year-old girl identified as only K.S.
So there's 2 incidences, absolutely. And one of them was using terroristic threats against her family. So let's listen to this one. See, now we've got a pattern of practice if there's multiple events.
That relationship lasted 6 months. But this teenager said she too was assaulted by Butler, that he was aggressive and violent with her, and says she went along with unwanted sex to avoid being hurt. This victim also said that one time when she did refuse, Butler strangled her and recorded himself doing it, recorded himself strangling her on his phone, strangling her until she...
So it seems he did have relationships with these girls. But again, as minors, you can't really call that domestic because they're not living with each other, obviously. And they're certainly not of an adult age where they can consecrate that relationship in a legal or actual social proper scale. Society still doesn't allow for that. You know, children, they must be adults, marriage ages, sexual consent ages, things like this. And when they're doing these criminal cases like this, and they're trying to hold social factors at value rather than the psychological patterns that we see in people that commit these kind of crimes, that's on them. You know, society itself, without psychology, can see people that are disturbed psychologically. Even if you don't know what it is, you can see and tell the difference between somebody that is sociable and acting according to its true nature as a peaceful social being versus one that has some kind of psychosis that's going around in chaos and criminal behavior and mischief and causing all kinds of shit. Those are easy things to discern.
Passed out. And if you think that this is he said, she said, police later found that actual video on Jesse Mack Butler's phone. So think that through for a sec. He not only strangled someone until she passed out, he thought it would be fun to videotape it. And he did, and they found it. That's called evidence. Jesse Mack Butler pleaded not guilty to everything that he was charged with, and that is his right.
Yeah, you can plead not guilty all you want. You can plead not guilty all you want. But the preponderance of the evidence says otherwise. And yet, in one case, we have a judge giving a light sentence for a murder. And here we have a judge that's giving almost no sentence for a heinous rape. And it's not just one.
But in the coming months, for reasons that I will not pretend to understand, the DA's office struck a deal with Jesse Butler's lawyers to change his status from adult offender to youthful offender.
Youthful offender. See, and that's going by an age status and not, again, the psychological status that is actual and true. Because when you look at the psychological aspect of that young man, you can tell he was a young man. And he certainly knows exactly what he was and wasn't supposed to be doing. Just like the general society with a good mindset. When it comes to these behaviors, where are mom and dad? Why were they allowing this? What kind of environment was this child in growing up that he thinks it's okay to have a sexual relationship like that simply because he's got a girlfriend that he can turn around and handle his girlfriend like that? Where does he learn that stuff? Why is no one stepping up and taking accountability for that? Mom and dad. See, it's the same thing with the officers that get charged with certain crimes and stuff. Who's taking accountability for putting them in those positions? Who's taking accountability for training them? Who's taking accountability for signing off on their bad behavior in the past when they were complained about and then investigated and said, oh, we found nothing wrong? Who's signing off on that stuff? Who's signing off on the kid that already had an incident where he raped his previous girlfriend? Who's signing off on that, mom and dad? Why wasn't anything done the first time? Why wasn't he, and I can't say whether he was or wasn't, but it seems so far that nobody has mentioned any kind of psychiatric or psychological admission or review or anything.
You know where I'm going, right? Needless to say, the families of these two girls, these victims, begged the district attorney not to do that. Begged him, please do not downgrade the charges against this guy, the way he'd be treated as an offender. But no matter, in July, a judge signed off, Judge Susan Worthington. Judge Susan Worthington, remember that name too. She decided, oh good, I'll sign off on this. And in August, Jesse Mack Butler changed his plea from not guilty to no contest. And if you watch my podcasts regularly, you know how I feel about the no contest plea, right? It's basically just saying, okay, you got me.
Yep. crying when they handcuffed him. Pled not guilty. then changed his mind and said, yeah, you got me. I can't contest this. Every bit of evidence you got shows I'm guilty. Oh, well. He finally admitted he was guilty, so we'll just slap him on the wrist. Is that how it goes?
Me, whatever. I'm not pleading to anything, but okay, you got me. That's what no contest means. It also means you have a conviction, right? You still get the conviction. But for whatever reason, the authorities in the story decided he doesn't even need to say he did it. He can just say no contest. What no contest means is that he knew there was ample evidence to convict him and that a conviction would be the result of his no contest plea. By the way, I mentioned there were 10 counts before. Yeah, that was then. But by August, there was one more, and the grand tally took him to 11. If you can believe it, the new charge was for violating a protective order. During all of this, right? A kid is facing 10 felony charges that are sex-related, and there's a protective order against him. And what does he do? He violates it. Because why not, right? Why the hell not?
Yeah, why listen to the people that are telling me I can't do what the fuck I want to do? Huh? Why do you expect that if he's already 17, now 18, that he's not going to listen to what you tell him he can and can't do? That by slapping him on the wrist, that now he's going to listen to you. What makes you think he didn't already know the consequences of his actions and did them anyway? What makes you think he's going to change by not doing anything?
All I can say is that this violation should have been such a motherfucking red flag for somebody, but it wasn't. Because guess what? The very same day that he violated that protective order, he was actually being sentenced to 78 years in prison. Same day. 78 years. Which, sounds like a fitting punishment for someone who nearly kills 2 different girls and raped them both repeatedly, right? And cops do it all. But as a youthful offender, which was his new status, Jesse Mack Butler was entitled to special treatment. And just you wait until you hear how special that treatment was. And I'm going to just advise you right now.
Yeah, and I'd like to do some follow-up on this. I hope I find more information about this, because my inkling is that somewhere along the line, mom or dad or both have some kind of connection, particularly with the judge or some other public official or official group or business or something, some kind of nepotism, cronyism or something, where they allowed this young man off the hook like that because of some kind of particular relationship that makes him special.
Pour yourself a big, stiff drink. Before I get to that, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for helping me, get off the ledge. These stories are so passionate, and I would not be able to do this if you weren't in my community. True crime is important. Victims are important. Talking about things and putting. They even offer a custom plan, unlimited, and off. Plan. Yeah, that's what they call it. A rehabilitation. You ready for this? Mac Butler got. Use the code DROPDEAD to start taking your data off the market today. Okay, back to the special treatment that Jesse Mack Butler got. A rehabilitation plan. Yeah, that's what they call it. A rehabilitation plan. So 78 years on one side of the ledger as an adult and a rehabilitation plan on the other side of the ledger. That plan was drawn up by the Oklahoma Office of Juvenile Affairs and it was presented to the court just last week. Today, it is October the 18th as I'm recording this. This new punishment plan. You ready for this? Oof, it's a doozy. It calls for daily check-ins. Weekly counseling. No. A curfew. Say it ain't so. No social media. When will it end? And you ready? Here's the big one. 150 hours of community service. Do you notice what I didn't say there? No jail time. Nothing. 78 years of jail, 150 hours of community service. That's what this was knocked down to. And
that's an amazing, amazing drop, de-escalation in a punitive manner that this man is being treated with. There has to be some kind of favoritism, some kind of special relationship somewhere. Someone who is signing off on this stuff on behalf of others due to some kind of insane popularity contest, which you're not part of. And yet you're the ones voting these kind of people in. You're the ones that give these people jobs.
no social media, no, a curfew. Unless you think that this extraordinary restriction on his life is going to last, forever and ever, amen. No, this new plan was going to stay in effect until Butler turns 19, which is less than a year from now. Here's another kick in the teeth, if you're anybody other than Jesse Mack Butler or his family. If he complies with this court-ordered rehab for a year and doesn't break any more laws, his record is going to be wiped clean. Squeaky clean. Jesse Mack Butler will not spend a day in prison. His name will not appear on any sex offender registry. Nobody in any other town.
Damn it, I did it again. I am so good at this, folks. My apologies. But here again, I have to make note that I seriously question the severity of the drop here from those charges down to pure insane minimal surveillance, that if he behaves for 1 year, then his record is wiped clean. There is no mechanism there to help educate the young man to proper behavior. And so this is why I question mom and dad and the connection with the judge or something that makes it so special. Who is bringing this child up in such a way that he believes that a relationship with another woman involves that kind of behavior? Okay. And then when they know that it's a pattern of practice and they've already let it slide once, now they're going to make it seem like they got him. Gotcha. 11 felonies. Oops, we're going to let those slide as long as you behave for a year. What do you think that man's going to do? Do you think that because of that behavior, he's rehabilitated? Do you think somehow because you give him a slap on the wrist that he's going to change his behavior? No, you just enforce the idea that he's special and that the law doesn't apply to him. You dumb motherfuckers.
Or city, or state, or school, or university, or business is going to have a clue as to who Jesse Mack Butler really is or what his proclivities have been. If you run a background check on him, like let's say you meet him on a dating site, or again, you're thinking of hiring him, none of this will show up. None of it. He nearly kills 2 girls according to their accusations, right? And according to what he pled to, strangled them until they choked and the doctor said 30 more seconds he'd be dead. You'll know nothing about that. I have not been able to breathe properly since I learned about this story. I thought we were so far past this that women could be treated this way and have someone walk like this, let alone girls. These are 16-year-olds, 2 girls. And by the way, their fact patterns are almost identical. It's not he said, she said, he copped to it, right? Earlier on my News Nation.
So I question, where was daddy? Is that who he learned the behavior from? Crying because the cops arrested him, crying in front of mommy. Where was daddy? Did he learn this pattern of practice because daddy was married to his mama? And after so many years, he started abusing her. And after so many years, he started just taking it from her. Is that how this kid was raised, by a daddy doing the same thing? Is that why mommy's single? I'm thinking she's single. She's the one that he cried in front of when they arrested him. Daddy didn't seem to be around. Daddy ain't even been mentioned yet.
Show Banfield, which is weeknights at 10 p.m. on News Nation. I talked with Justin Shepard. He's a digital journalist who has got an online handle just in the nick of crime, and he has been on this case like glue from the beginning. Here's our conversation. And let me tell you, Justin, you have done some unbelievable digging, not just on the case itself, but the justice system and the players, not only the judge, but the judge's father and those involved. It sounds to me, and this is just a very sweeping comment, Justin, but it sounds to me like this is like the low country Murdochs and how they used to run justice in their neck of the woods. Am I off here?
I don't think you're far off. That's what I was thinking. Like I said, I'm wondering who's going to hold the ones accountable that are signing on for this shit. When are you going to start holding yourself accountable for the ones putting these people in these positions?
No, you're not. It's funny you said Murdoch. I was talking about somebody else about this today earlier, and I said this is just like the Murdoch situation with how deep this goes. And yeah, normally when I get a story that comes across my desk, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk about this one. And I'm like you. When I first saw this one, I was absolutely livid. I still am. And the next thing I knew, I had so many people reaching out to me about the way Stillwater, Oklahoma's judicial system handles things, the type of punishment that sex offenders get or lack thereof. And it goes much deeper than I would have even begun to have imagined.
So let me ask you this. Why no attempted murder charge? The doctor who treated the first victim who has the surgery scar from the welt and the intense swelling that continued after the strangulation, he said that if she was strangled 30 more seconds, she was going to die. Why was there not an attempted murder charge in this case?
That's a great question. Your guess is as good as mine. I mean, maybe perhaps at the beginning they felt they didn't need it with the other litany of charges that they had that they ended up, pleading down to, 150 hours of community service. But it seems to me when you strangle somebody twice, to the point that one of them needs surgery, why that wasn't an attempted murder charge it's beyond me.
Is this kid in school with these girls? Because he's walking free. He is out there. Is he allowed to go to school with these girls?
So that's a great question. Right now, he's virtual school. So he is still enrolled at Stillwater High School. He is enrolled virtually. So he can't be seen with these girls or he can't go see them. However, it is my understanding from people close to the case, people close to some of the students at the school, that he is still texting, trying to hook up, asking if they're single, things like that. So it's like none of this meant anything to him. Like it's basically.
Yeah, none of this meant anything. It doesn't mean anything to him. He's still searching for prey, and they know it. That's what's so fucking pathetic about it. They're telling you right here in front of you. If you don't understand what I just said and didn't hear the same thing that I said, the same thing these people are saying, just in different words, please go do your research. I hope you're not allowing your children to be on that predator list.
I got a slap on the wrist as a get out of jail free card, so I'm just going to continue to live my life with these minor inconveniences.
So during all of this, he allegedly is still trying to hook up with other girls at the school,
presumably through social media, where he's not supposed to be. How does this work, people? How is it I catch this, but these people in the national forum are not catching this and nothing's being done?
Who know all about what happened to these two fellow classmates.
That's my understanding, yes.
Well, I mean, I guess I should be surprised if he was violating a restraining order during all of this adjudication, during the fact that he was facing 78 years in prison. He still decides to violate a restraining order?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we would be remiss if we didn't talk about a big elephant in the room here, which is who Jesse Mac Butler really is. So his father is a man by the name of Mac Butler, and if you Google him, he will show up as a former athletic director or director of football for Oklahoma State University, for OSU, which is a pretty big job.
Imagine that. Imagine that. See, we know who Dad is. Now we know who Dad is. And I'm sure we're going to find out that, of course, he hasn't been around the family for a while because he's, his job's so important. It's more important than the family, right, guys?
He worked at one point for LSU. He's been with several universities throughout bowl games, and then he was hired on at Stillwater High School as an athletic director. And if you look at the news article from when he was hired, the whole town knows who this guy is. Like, a name that you know well around town is now coming to Stillwater High School. So this is a family that is very well connected to the Stillwater area. For a college town, a football town, you can't get much higher than somebody who's involved in the athletics, which his father is.
Let me ask you this. Justin, how about this? The judge in this case, Judge Susan Worthington, I read your Substack about all of the figures in the justice system, and it did not sound good.
And notice they still haven't said anything about the relationship with mom. So again, what's that mechanism there that isn't bringing forth that information? You would think he would be proud husband. They didn't mention husband. They mentioned his career. And then they mentioned that a well-known man is now coming to Stillwater High School. Wouldn't he have already been at Stillwater High School if he was living in Stillwater with his son and wife?
are extraordinarily lenient. Their track record looks as though it's like sexual deviance. Oh, well, whatever. A lot of the sentences, a lot of the bail has let sexual offenders run rampant in this community. First, I think this judge, second, her father. Ahead of her, tell me if I got that wrong. But did Judge Susan Worthington here on your screen, was she also connected to the offender's dad at OSU or through any of the athletics programs?
So this is.
Let's make clear we understand. They're saying he directly contacted them through his cellular network. That technically probably isn't considered a social media, but it is a medium of socializing. And I would say that the intent of not having contact by social media meant not having contact no matter what medium you use to socialize, to be concise. I see your point, because that might very well be the way they look at it. But to be concise, let's be real.
All unconfirmed speculation or rumors, I can say based on what I've heard, is that she and her dad, whose name was Don Worthington, and the two of them, I think it's worth noting, have kind of ran the bench in Stillwater, the judiciary, for about 50 years. So the two of them have kind of been, over everything. And it's my understanding that both of them, the father and now the daughter, Judge Susan Worthington, are very much involved with OSU athletics, whether it's as donors, whether it's as supporters. That's just kind of what I've been told.
What's the recourse here? I got about 20 seconds left. There's got to be something that these families can do.
The only thing that you really have as far as reopening the case is if the DA decides to do that. I believe that's Laura Thomas. And based on what I've started to learn about her, that's highly unlikely. The only other
2 counts attempted rape, 3 counts rape by instrumentation, 1 count sexual battery, 1 count forcible oral sodomy, 2 counts of direct assault and battery by strangulation, 1 count of domestic assault and battery. So they are calling it domestic assault and battery simply because he had some kind of relationship with a girl, that he committed the rape and rape by instrumentation, sexual battery, forcible oral sodomy. We're all in a relationship type situation, but that doesn't mean any kind of lessening thing. Just because it was domestic assault, it's still battery by strangulation, which is a very heinous crime.
thing that these families could do is probably sue the Butler family legally, given the fact that Jesse was under 18 at the time. That would possibly make the parents liable. But that's kind of the most you're going to be able to do, other than make sure that his face is everywhere, because ones like
what? We just hear that? Did we hear that?
That's Laura Thomas, and based on what I've started to learn about her, that's highly unlikely. The only other thing that these families could do is probably sue the Butler family legally, given the fact that Jesse was under 18 at the time. That would possibly make the parents liable. But that's kind of the most based on what I've started to learn about her, that's highly unlikely. The only other thing that these families could do is probably sue the Butler family legally, given the fact that Jesse was under 18 at the time. That would possibly make the parents liable.
Possibly make the parents liable. See, and that's my question. Who is liable for a 17-year-old that grows up 17 years thinking that this is okay, and then gets the support of the community leaders around him, not just once, but twice now, to do nothing about it so that he can continue trying to set up a list of prey, one after another.
But that's kind of the most you're going to be able to do, other than make sure that his face is everywhere, because once, like you said, he turns 19 years old, this is wiped clean, so all we're going to have is a Google search.
It's just unfathomable. We just had the list of charges up on the screen again, Justin. It's just, again, 11 charges, 10 of them extraordinarily violent. He pled to them. This is not allegations. This isn't he said, she said. These things happened to those girls, and 150 hours of community service and a couple of check-ins, and no social media is all he's going to get. It just doesn't seem like this is America, if that's the kind of justice that these families are going to get. Stay on this. There are bad decisions, and then there are incomprehensible decisions. And this, what happened in Stillwater, feels like the latter. A 17-year-old boy commits a violent...
No, it doesn't just feel like the latter. Let's look at it objectively. It is. It's just incomprehensible. There is no reason in the world, none whatsoever, that this young man should be let off so lightly and be placed into society as a predator with zero rehabilitation and simply mere monitoring and no attempt at any kind of behavioral changes or anything. Counseling, come on. That isn't going to change his behavior. Somebody sitting down talking to him. It's going to take some firsthand lessons, hardcore lessons. And by cupcaking for this young man and saying he's still a youth offender is just it's an emotional act, and people have to get out of their feelers, start using reason and logic. Holding people accountable for these kind of things at younger ages is not wrong.
Predatory act over and over and over again, and cops to it, and walks away with community service and therapy and a curfew. And oh yeah, no Facebook or Instagram or Snap. If that doesn't shake your faith in the system, I don't know what will. But we're going to keep digging on this one, and we're not letting it go. Somebody needs to explain how this happened. And
yeah, I don't know how you have faith in the system. Like I've said, this has been going on day after day, week after week, year after year, decade after decade, century after century. When are you going to fucking wake up and see what's there? How much evidence do you need?
who decided that this was actually justice being delivered? Maybe, just maybe, things will turn around in this case. Doesn't look like it, but maybe, just maybe, if enough of us put our foot down, hit the road and hold up a sign, show up at those protests, talk to your lawmakers, talk to your leaders in your communities and say, no, this is 2025, almost 2026. Is this really who we are? Is this really what we're going to do to 16-year-old girls? And say, no Facebook. We have the power. We have the vote. We have a voice.
Yeah, imagine these two young girls. Imagine these two young girls. Let me get up here. Imagine these two young girls. What they've been put through. What they have to face the rest of their life. And they have to live that life in the same community with the same man that did those things to them, knowing that he was walking free and may just do it anytime he wants to again. How much fear do they have to live in the rest of their life because you people won't hold somebody accountable for these terrible, heinous acts against the very people that we're supposed to be protecting the most, the young women and boys, to help them grow up so we don't have all these desolate children and unmarried wives, broken families. When is it people are going to start standing up and start restoring those traditional values of nature? When is it people are going to quit paying tribute to this false patriarch and its system of justice that doesn't bring justice? When are you going to stop having faith in that and realize the only one that can really do anything about it is you as moms and dads, and say, hey, I don't care what the courts say. I said no social media, meaning no phone, no nothing. When are the people going to start taking their accountability?
And again, it's why I thank you for being in this community with me. Otherwise, I'd just be shouting to a camera by myself. Thank you for letting me tell you this story. Thank you for listening to this story all the way through to the end. My name is...
Yep, same here. Same here. I do this because I need more people to stand up. It's the children that need us. The next generations need us to step forward and start showing them how to hold people accountable. Because if we don't, all they have is their voice, and that's not going to hold people accountable. The knowledge and education of how things really work through natural observances, and not some shit written on a piece of paper that was written by somebody else centuries and decades ago. It's time to learn how to start using reason and logic. The next one, we've got a 4th grade teacher arrested for preying on a minor.
In August 2025, Detective Drew Sinclair. In August 2025, Detective Drew Sinclair went undercover posing as a 13-year-old girl named Claire. After posting a fake ad online, Detective Sinclair began texting with a person who answered the ad, a 42-year-old man named Ross.
And my apologies. This one is Sergeant Pepper Spray. Sergeant Pepper Spray. Fourth grade teacher arrested for preying on minor. So go check him out. He's got 28.7 thousand subscribers. And please pay attention, folks. This is for fair use, education, and commentary only. If you see what's scrolling at the bottom of the page, see Hoseinzada versus Klein. Fair use for commentary and education. And there's a link you can pause the video and copy down to look it up. It's a PDF that will tell you all about it. We are not a monetized channel, private foundation.
Detective Sinclair then sent Ross a fake photo of Claire. This is how Ross responded.
First day back is a lot. Huh? Oh, to work. Back to school, but not as the student. You're a teacher? Oops. And you're trying to hook up with me and I'm 13? Dude, are you afraid of getting in trouble? Natural amount of fear, but I'm okay if you are. I'm a professional and have my personal life. So what the fuck does that mean? Now I'm scared though, haha. Scared? I'm discreet and honest.
Ross texted Claire a receipt showing he booked a room at the Comfort Inn Hotel. He then negotiated with Claire to pay her $700 for the night, along with paying for Plan B birth control. Detectives traveled to Lake Roosevelt Elementary School, where Ross was doing administrative work during a school holiday.
Hi there. Are you Mr. Ashenfelter? Hi. Are you Mr. Ashenfelter? Yeah, hi. Hey, I'm Detective Hoffman, Sheriff's Office. Yeah, hi. Right now I want to tell you you are under arrest. So do me a favor, stand up, put your hands behind your back for me. Excuse me? Right now you're under arrest. Okay. Here, this is Detective Sinclair right in front of you. Yeah. He'll explain kind of what's going on. All right.
Sure. I have reason to believe that you've been in communication, inappropriate communication, with a 13-year-old child that lives in home.
And now watch him play it off. See, they don't want to hold themselves accountable. Even though he was just showing us in the text that he was going to hold himself accountable because he's a professional and knows how to keep things personal and private, right?
Okay.
At this point, Detective Sinclair doesn't yet want to let Ross know it was him posing as Claire, so he uses a ruse pretending that Claire was real.
Apparently you told her at some point last week that you were going to come meet up with her, and she, and then you didn't. So she told her mom that she'd been talking to a teacher. We did some investigation and found out that that teacher was you.
Okay.
So that's why we're here.
Okay.
Okay?
Any weapons or anything on you, sir?
No.
No.
I would like to talk to you a little bit about what's been going on. See what your mentality was, why you did or didn't show up in Ellensburg. I relieve that you did not.
No.
But I would still like to talk to you about that because it is something that she said was an ongoing conversation for quite some time. And we have all of those text communications between you.
Okay.
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 So yeah, he was scared and he didn't show up in Ellensburg. And see, this just goes to show you their mentality. They know exactly what they're doing. And they're trying to be slick. You have to understand in today's modern age with this electronic communications, that's not your communication setup, folks. See, that's a trademark and copyright situation where you're using someone else's services and it is being recorded at all times. If you don't understand the surveillance state, you're the one being duped. So when you get into these devices, phones, laptops, iPads, whatever, and you're using them for nefarious means, is you're using this technology for nefarious means. What you're doing is you're showing the darkness in yourself into the real world. You're shedding that darkness into the real world, and that's on you. Everybody can see it.
So I want to make sure you know that we are recording.
Okay.
Right now, you have the right to remain silent, and then you say to use against you in the court of law. Okay. You have the right this time to talk to a lawyer, have him present with you while you're being questioned. You can afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish. You can decide at any time to exercise his rights, not answer questions or make any statements. You understand the rights I read you?
Yes, I do. No statements.
No statements? Okay. Yeah. Assuming this is going to be important, we're going to want to take this with you.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes. Okay, what's the process here?
So, like Detective Sinclair said, he'd like to speak with you, but of course you have the right to not speak to anybody if you don't want to.
And he's decided not to.
He doesn't want to make any statements right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is these guys will transport you back to Allenford.
See, that's the smartest thing that anybody could really do in a situation like this, particularly somebody that's a beta cut corporate male that has an ID in his pocket and believes that you need the attorney to represent yourself in court because you obviously can't tell the truth yourself. That's the only reason you would really need any kind of attorney in a court to represent you. However, the need for an attorney for counsel is a little bit different, and nobody seems to understand these things. And so they just walk into these courts thinking that the attorney is going to work for them, and that's the last thing they will do. They're going to work for the system, and if you're the one getting thrown under the bus, you're the one getting thrown under the bus, and everybody's going to be watching you. They're not going to be watching the people that are signing off on all this shit. So when they start throwing good people under the bus, oh, well, he must have done something wrong. He must have done what they said. This is why it's so damn important for you to learn. Don't believe me. Don't believe the neighbor. Don't believe the government. Don't believe your mother, for crying out loud. Do your research so you know. So you can learn the level of faith that you want to give these people. If you want to suck their leather boots, then suck their leather boots. If you don't, make that discernment and clarify it. And then show that that clarification is comprehensive because you understand how these people behave and you're not going to put up with it no more. Until then, you're just going to keep sucking the teat of a false patriot, false patriarch, because you don't know how to stand on your own.
You're going to get booked into the Kittitas County jail for communication with the minor for criminal purposes.
Is there a simple way to do this?
Like how?
Instead of booking and...
Well, it's a Class C.
Is there a simple way to do this? Like how? Like without the booking? No, fucking come on. He's trying to escape the accountability already. I'm special. Is there a different way we can do this because I'm a teacher? I'm special.
Felony, and we take communications and the potential, like you took some pretty good steps towards wanting to have with a child. So that's a big deal to us.
Okay.
It should be a big deal to you.
Yes, yes.
So I guess I'm failing to understand how you would like to simplify things.
It did not happen. So.
Oh, wait a minute.
You
No.
communicate with a child?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. See, that's the problem. They think that they just communicated and that's not a crime. It is. It is. You're trying to manipulate a minor for your own sexual cretinous ways. It's just fucking animalistic.
I never met with her and I never intended to.
No, okay.
No, your communication is what says you did intend to, and that's your problem. You cannot deny that. And here you are trying to deny it. You're trying to step away from the accountability of your original intent expressed in the communication. That is why your communication is unlawful, because it expressed the intent.
I don't want to ask you any questions because you've said that you don't want to provide a statement right now. I would like to know more of what your version of events and your side of the story is, but until you decide that you kind of want to waive your mind rights and have a conversation, I really can't ask you any questions. Okay.
Okay, so I have to go to Ellenburg?
Yes.
How long is this process?
You'll go to court tomorrow, and then bail will be set.
They're going to prison?
That's out of my wheelhouse. That's not anything.
I mean, jail. Do I need to stay in night or jail?
Yeah, you'll have to see a judge.
Oh my. Look at the confused look on him. You mean I got to spend a night in jail? But I'm special. I'm a teacher. I love kids. Fucking pathetic. Another attempt in showing, blatant showing that they don't want to accept responsibility, accountability. And these are the public servants. Okay? These are all the people that you put in position to take care of your children and believe that they are looking out for the safety of your children. When the guy over here in the back of the room here standing in front of the door, he's out for his personal safety. Same with this guy over here next to him. It's all about officer safety. The end of the day.
Before you'll have to go to an arraignment or a probable cause hearing for the judge to determine that there's probable cause, and then he'll set bail out. And basically, if you do bail out some criteria,
Each and every one of these guys, no matter how much the children are involved, each and every one of these guys is in it for a paycheck. The teacher was in it for a paycheck, using his position, getting to know children and how they interact with each other and be able to have some kind of communication with them at that level. You know, the officer doing it for a paycheck, he's the one that was pretending to be a child.
that you have to follow, and one of them is probably going to be that you don't have any contact with children.
Okay.
So you probably won't be allowed back to the school for the foreseeable future.
Okay.
At least until your case is adjudicated.
Is there any way for I'm not going to run? I'll show up. Is there any way to not need to go all the way to Ellensburg?
No, we're going to Ellensburg today.
Okay.
Like I said, I've read all.
Yeah, that's where your criminal intent rested. You were going to go to the hotel. That's where you set it up. That's where the minor was supposed to be. That was your intent. That's where the jurisdiction is. They're collecting you here because the crime was intended to happen there, or the subsequent crime based on your already criminal intent, founded in communication lines.
The text communication between you and this child, and it's highly inappropriate for any adult to have with a child, let alone a fourth grade teacher.
Okay.
Do you have any more questions for me?
Is it necessary to handcuff me? I'm not going anywhere.
Is it necessary to handcuff me? I'm not going anywhere. Yes, you are. You're going to jail. Don't downplay it. You're going to jail. And just like everybody else, you go to jail in handcuffs so everybody can see you in handcuffs. You're not special.
Yeah, right now, when we get to the car and you're sitting down, we'll move in the front because it is a long drive and you kind of stuff behind your back. But our policy requires us to have people in our car in handcuffs.
But they will be moving to the front of your
Yeah,
car.
but we'll move in the front so it's not you're not sitting on the whole thing. Okay, let's head down to the car.
The search warrant it does include your car. We're going to search.
Well, my students will not be ready for tomorrow.
Okay. The chief's going to contact the superintendent and let them know.
Yeah, I'm sure the students will be taken care of. Right, guys? I mean, they'll just replace them with another one that's going to do the same kind of stuff. It's not until you guys step up, you know, the ones that believe you're good and won't allow this stuff to happen. It's not until you step up and fill those positions that it'll stop. Otherwise, the other teachers are all doing, well, I can't say all, but there are other teachers and other staff members and other business representatives and organizational representatives, agency representatives, all these people there's so many things that are so wrong, and you all know it, and yet you just let it go. Greetings, brother. How you doing today?
Doing good.
Good, good. What you got going on?
Hey, it's like, man, I have some like comments about this, but on some ways, like when you say good men or good people don't speak up or stand up. So it's like, I don't want to get put on that I'm defending anything other than the right to just try to have a conversation about a topic.
Yep, I understand.
Okay. Okay. So like when you were showing about the boy and all that was happening and all of that stuff that was a physical reality, all of that was a physical reality. And the difference with this dude, and when you're talking about intent, is I believe in some way that's true, but just in the total, I almost want to say polar. It's kind of like polar opposites to a first one. This guy's going to jail for a thought crime, basically, and the other dude is getting let off from actually doing like the physical reality crime. So it's like not trying to defend in any way, just trying to have that open discussion about how we like try to place things in a proper priority in our mind, right? Because it has nothing to do with feelings, like because in reality, according to this, from what I'm seeing, is there was never a 13-year-old, right? So when they're going to arrest this guy and say he was doing this to a minor, really factually, that's not accurate. It never was a minor, it was an adult pretending. So it was a game from the beginning.
Correct. But
So,
the game isn't, and I understand what you're saying about the intangible versus tangible aspects. But the tangible aspect here was that he actually used a communication device and attempted to manipulate what he thought was a minor. And this goes to the real actions in life. Same way as hitman for hire. Okay. So you've got somebody that's willing and has an intent to hire a hitman to kill their husband. The intent in the communication shows the true criminal act of manipulation, and that's what we're truly talking about. Is the aspect of taking one reality and manipulating it to your own for your own benefit. So
right. So
taking his reality and changing it as a matter of him being able to live, and the wife changing it and manipulating it for her perspective view of goods, so she could collect on an insurance claim.
right. So what I see, I agree totally what you just said. This whole thing, everything from both sides is based on manipulation. They're trying to
Yep.
manipulate this dude. They're both doing the same thing. They're using a communication device to manipulate. So really, it's the same. I'm viewing it as the same as like if it's illegal to have drugs, and then the police, they have the drugs, so they're already committing a felony. Then they're trying to sell it to somebody, which that's actually a felony too. But then it's only that person on the other side that they went to and went, hey, you want this? That they actually faced all the felonies when everybody involved in it is actually committing the felony.
When you've heard the saying that I tell the truth even when I lie.
Yes.
Okay, that's what we're actually talking about here. We're telling the truth about a predator by lying to the predator. Does that make sense? It's like
Okay.
it's like in these chats. I love to troll trolls by lying to the trolls. You get what I'm saying?
No. I thought that see, sometimes you troll by being honest, right?
Right. That's
In
what I
that
mean.
aspect.
So when it comes to being honest, I can say something like I beat my wife, and a troll will run with that. But if I'm playing Yahtzee with my wife every night and I beat my wife at Yahtzee every night, he's the one that takes the I beat my wife out of context because he didn't know what the context was when I was speaking on it.
Right.
Okay.
So that's not you lying, right? But there's my point. That's not you lying, where this like that claiming this person is this or this person is pretending to be. They're actually, it's like that's the only thing that in my mind of trying to comprehend is like this is a manipulation game on everybody's part, what we're watching in this thing right here. And it's like what you were talking about. Who's going to hold the people accountable that's signing off on all the stuff?
Right.
You know what
And
I mean?
so,
Because
and so another example I'll give you is when I get somebody on my messenger anywhere that I can recognize as a scammer right away, I'm going to lie to them, right? Somebody comes on and says, "Hey, have you heard about the GSA grant program?" I say, "Yeah, I already got 3 fucking checks. Can you imagine that? My first one was 53,000, my second one was 138,000, and this last one I just got 273,000. How much were your checks?" End of discussion. They leave. They know I'm already on to them. They know what I said was a lie. I know it was a lie, but I told them the truth. I don't want nothing to do with you. See, it's the underlying truth of the lie. The underlying truth of this guy calling up or getting on a social media platform and posing as a 13-year-old girl exposed the truth that this guy is in fact a predator. Has mental intent. He had several communications over a long period of time. Why does he have those kind of thoughts? He's a full-grown man, works around minor children. Would you want that kind of a man working around your minor children? Therefore, sometimes, in order to seek these predators out, particularly in these public service positions, it's a good thing. And people should support that, in my opinion. We don't need these kind of people around our children. And that, again, that comes on to mom and dads. If you truly want to raise your child up in your ways, then stop handing them over to predators in every venue because you think your job is so important. Your family is more important than anything. Let's finish up. We got a couple minutes left on this one.
Yeah, it's in there. We're going to serve a warrant on it.
How far away are you?
Right there, because she's for union rep.
You're the union rep right here.
I'm going to Ellensburg to be booked. Okay. You probably want union rep for service. Okay. little shock right now. So we'll contact my brother.
And what do you want me to tell Adam?
I've been booked for inappropriate communications, but I've done nothing. So okay.
Inappropriate. Tell him I've been booked for inappropriate communications, but I've done nothing. Even though they already have evidence, absolute evidence, proof of inappropriate communications. Again, refusing to take accountability. And this guy's, he's probably in his 40s, early 40s. Why is it we have people like this in public service positions in society? Go ahead.
Yeah, because that's the only thing. It's like now after hearing the way you're talking, it's like, I can look at it like, the intent part, because in that communication, I guess the part that I go back to and rewinding it in my memory is when he said, when they came back on, because apparently they said, don't ever contact me again. You're acting like a psycho, right? So then like the next day, then the cop or whatever comes back and goes, yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, well, I can definitely tell that you're a child. And I think now that I'm rethinking it just because of that comment in itself.
Yeah, it's what I said earlier.
Yeah.
He's got a classroom of minor children, so he's learned how to communicate at their level, and that's what he's doing in those things. He's coming from an authoritative position. Well, I'm a professional, and I have a personal life that I keep private. Like he's going to manipulate that child into believing him that he doesn't need to be afraid with meeting up with him when he's actually the one that's afraid.
That poor guy was trying, right? He was trying to help himself.
Right, and he's trying to manipulate the child into having fear.
Right, but I think somewhere in there, like when you talk about the higher power, the spirit above all, is like when he was, even inside himself, he like knew because he was even texting it, man, I don't want to get in trouble. This is like a setup. It's like even the just I guess in some way that spiritual power of um the good, I guess, was like he fought against it instead of paying attention.
Well, yeah, but we have to understand, how long do these communications go on before they finally get brave enough and think that nobody's watching, that they go ahead and move forward and do it? See, this is what we have to do. It's not pre-crime. It is catching people that have predatory behavior and helping rehabilitate them before it happens, unlike the 17-year-old we saw in the previous videos.
How long is the booking process?
It depends on how busy the jail is. Typically pretty quick though.
Okay. Can I stay overnight or get released?
You'll stay overnight.
Okay. Yeah. Online communication is one to avoid it. Yeah. Not good. Not good at all.
He's afraid of even having to stay in jail overnight. He's afraid of the other inmates finding out what he's in there for and taking care of him that night. Justice seems to happen swiftly in some cases, particularly in these kind of predatory cases. You never know the kind of psychology of the other people in those jail cells.
Absolutely. So when you said that just previously before you started that, you were talking about rehabilitation. You said, see, it's about catching them. It's not pre-crime. It's about catching them before so that they can help them get rehabilitated. But see, even now, your speech is he may not make it through the night. So what rehabilitation is this guy going to get? When that
Absolutely, and I agree. And I agree, but they have to make the attempt, and that attempt has to be done this way. It can't be done in a special way because you're special. It's the way that's been developed, and it has its consequences. And like we saw earlier, the young man didn't have any consequences. And yet, as a full-grown man going into this system, even if the allegations aren't true, you could still have deadly consequences. And that's why it's so important to be observant yourself as parents. Before you give your children over to these people, you investigate them. You do it preemptively before they have to be investigated for online inappropriate communications. Before they have to go to jail, you don't hand your children over to prey on.
That way they'll see less people.
Yeah. I'll do that. I don't want anything.
Excuse me, sir. I'm sorry. Just I have personal request. If it's okay, please. Yeah, I'm really sweaty. Is it possible I can take off my sweater? Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. You guys are very professional. I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm just sweating, and I was just sweating a bunch. I was like, should I ask or not?
No problem.
Thank you. I just sweated a bunch. Like, should I ask?
You're right in the sun. You want me to close this back up?
Thank you.
Try to get Daisy going?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, sir.
Ross was charged with communication with a minor for immoral purposes. He was held on bail but was released after posting the $100,000 bail. He pleaded not guilty to the felony charge in Kittitas County Superior Court, and his trial is set to begin January 14, 2026. The Kittitas County Sheriff's Office urges anyone with information related to the case to contact them.
Might be other cases that come forward. We never know. Never know.
See, so you think that charge that they put on him is actual, I almost don't want to say truthful, but accurate. See, because again, it's like they're saying he was communicating with the minor, which he wasn't. That's what's really weird. There has to be something that is like more truthful to that situation, right?
But again, it goes to the intent. He thought he was communicating with a minor. Okay? That was his intent. So regardless of whether he was online with a minor, his intent was inappropriate communications with a minor.
I'm just trying, I mean, I get it to a point of like protection and stuff like that. It's just like, I mean, I guess I'd have to like become a lawyer or somebody to draw up a different law that would word that differently.
Well, let's look at it under contract law then. If you have a contract, and in that contract you have wording that's shifty and shisty and leaves things real ambiguous, you can cut the contract. You can deny the contract. It's the same thing. It's an inappropriate communication. And if you do it intently, that can be considered fraud. It goes to the intent.
I know. See,
So,
that's what's really weird because their intent is to catch a predator.
and his
But
intent is
they're
as
really,
a predator to hone his skills so that one day he will meet
yeah.
a child. Otherwise, he wouldn't be having those communications.
I know that's what
Oh,
was weird in that communication where like even the I guess the pretend 13-year-old was telling the guy that he was acting psycho because he thought he may get caught or he was going to get in trouble, but not that him having those communications thinking that was a child or whatever was the psycho part of his psyche, I guess, in that way.
correct. And this is exactly why we tell our children stranger danger. We don't want our children to talking to them, but they will reach out and try to manipulate that. And that's the danger. So the next one is armed ICE officers arrest Chicago daycare teacher. Okay.
Parents in Chicago are outraged after ICE arrested a teacher at a daycare in front of young students. It happened at a Spanish immersion private school as parents were dropping off their kids. Federal agents entered the daycare and detained the teacher after they chased her inside, allegedly following a traffic stop. Local officials and witnesses say the agents grabbed the teacher as parents and students looked on. Joining us now, Adam Gonzalez. He was at the daycare to drop off his son and recorded that video you just saw. So, Adam, what happened?
It was a regular Wednesday morning. I was taking my son to school. We were getting ready to go inside, and I noticed something wasn't right. There was a sinking feeling that this is not a normal day. And as I got out of the car to see why there was lights flashing, to see what was happening, I noticed armed men in body armor with masks over their faces. I heard the teacher yelling, "I have papers in English." I saw people carrying their children. I know their children inside.
Okay, first of all, I haven't watched this video yet, but now that I'm watching it here, why is she not in handcuffs? Why are they manhandling her? Okay, that's the first contention that I would seriously question whether these are valid police officers that know a proper process of acquiring a suspect or whatever they want to call them, you know, putting them in handcuffs first and foremost, and then using leverage rather than one on each arm, yanking each way, this way and that way, possibly breaking and yanking them out of joints and sockets, right?
Because
yes, I agree.
there's a group of parents.
Yeah, there's certain processes, and these guys we can see as regular people in society, they don't have this woman in handcuffs when they should. They should have had her in handcuffs when they got her. If they were of the intent, then why do they not have her handcuffed?
To drop
Right.
their babies off.
I think that that should be the only way that they're able to wear masks too. Is like if they follow that procedure, they handcuff her, they do whatever because this is like an attempt to hide their identity while they're like mistreating this individual, I guess, in some way.
Yeah, and it proves incompetence because I don't care what reason they're there for her, whether it's legitimate or not. If it were legitimate, like I said, there's a process, and they would have already had her in handcuffs. So, if they are valid officers, they prove incompetence just by their actions here. Solely, nothing else. It proves that nothing they've done so far is correct because she's still not in handcuffs.
Early, and it was devastating to see her, to hear her crying. I'm still really torn up about it. You know, the name of the school means Little Ray of Sunshine in English, and our babies are little rays of sunshine. And to see a teacher dragged out of a daycare by masked armed men who didn't care what she had to say, who didn't care it was a daycare, who didn't care there were parents everywhere, who didn't care there were children inside, is absolutely devastating. I'm still in shock. I'm still processing everything that's happening. And I just can't believe that would happen at a daycare.
And she was saying she has papers. So if it's a
Yes.
traffic issue, shouldn't just that, if she has papers, shouldn't that just be a, you know, a local?
Yeah, if it was a traffic issue and they released her from the traffic stop, then evidently the papers seem to be okay. Why are they coming after her now? I would only imagine is because now they want to demand even more paperwork. So again, showing again incompetence that if they already had her at a traffic stop, why was she released from that traffic stop? Were they incompetent then and then realized a failure and now they're showing another failure? I mean, how deep does it go? Who is signing on for these people as being trained properly?
Local law enforcement issue, a citation.
I believe so. I'm not a
Yeah,
law
I'm not
enforcement
asking the legal
official.
opinion, but it seems strange. Can you tell me the reaction from the kids?
In the immediate aftermath, as parents were coming in, because it happened so fast, parents were still coming to drop their children off. And the smaller children, the toddlers, the infants, they didn't know what was going on. But the 4 and 5-year-olds, I heard them asking their parents, why is everyone so sad? The staff, the parents were hugging, they're holding each other, people were crying. And just hearing these small children ask, why is everyone so sad?
And see, that goes to show you the mentality of these little children yet. They see what's going on before them and they see all the chaos and everything, but they don't understand it. And they have to ask, why does that make you sad? They have to ask somebody to make that connection and explain to them why the officer's coming in and taking that woman, why that happened, and why it should make you sad.
And just to think that these parents and these teachers are going to have to explain to their children what happened. Like, how are the words to describe what happened to one of their teachers?
One of the local aldermen out there, Matt Martin, said that the teacher is being held in the Broadview facility that's outside of Chicago, the one that's gotten so much attention. Can you just tell me what it's been like in your community lately? I mean, was this something that you have been preparing yourself for, having to witness something like this?
This is not the first time I've witnessed ICE rip people away from a business or out of their cars. Unfortunately, for a lot of us in Chicago who look like me, who have a Spanish last name, this is our reality. It's in all parts of the city.
And I have to question here as to the legitimacy of yanking these people off the streets, because again, what we're facing here is people that subject themselves to a public record system wherein somebody else is responsible for that record. And if there's an error in that record, they go after the people rather than hold the record holder accountable. Okay, so when the record is in error, it works against the people, not against those holding the record, who are holding a record that's supposed to be have integrity. And yet when they find an error, it's not their fault, it's somebody else, and they violated the law in doing so 100% of the time. So again, I'm asking, where's the accountability, and who is it who are all these people signing off on this bullshit? It's the ones that refuse to take accountability.
It's not just in certain neighborhoods. I've seen ICE take people on the side of the street, our street vendors. They've been outside of schools. They've been at hospitals. They're taking people from all of these places where people seek refuge and people are just there to work. So,
and I'll let you know, under the rules of land warfare, under the Geneva Convention, there's a black and white sign that buildings are supposed to have on them if they're not involved in wars and stuff. And this is something I've talked about before. I have one on my back door. I have one on my front door. and I have one right up here on my den wall, and it goes to signage symbolism, very simply, a black triangle over top of a white triangle. So you got the top portion here is black, and then the bottom portion down is white, symbolizing a educational institution, literature or arts institution, a humanity institution, a church or religious center, visual arts or musical arts center, hospitals, museums, national heritage places. Things like this are protected only if you have that signage. So I ask, when they have this term domestic terrorism and they're using ICE on the land in warfare tactics, where is their legitimacy? All these people that are supposed to know the law and don't. Imagine that.
It's something that has been a daily reality for myself, people who look like me, people in my community, and it has to stop.
You sound very emotional over this.
It's been 2 months of terror. Being afraid to take your son to school.
Yeah, being afraid to take your son to school. What about that, folks? When are you going to be afraid to take your children to school? When are you going to finally wake up and keep your children out of school, raise them up in the ways of the Lord so they shall not falter, and learn how to hold these people accountable? No tongue. Let no tongue rise against thee in judgment. Thou shalt condemn it. When are you going to stand up and condemn this shit?
Being afraid to go to work, having in-laws who are afraid to go to church, hearing stories in the community of people who are just afraid to live because of what they look like. There's no other word than terror. Our community is in terror.
Are you afraid?
It's called domestic terrorism. It's just that they haven't been named as a domestic terrorist group yet. When might you do that? Standing armies, things like that. When are you going to realize the police and this public service shit is all private business? Big club, and you ain't in it.
Yes, I'm afraid. I'm afraid for speaking up. I'm afraid for using my voice. This administration has shown that they will target people. So I am afraid.
And that's what I'm speaking out against, is that you don't let them silence you, that you're never afraid to use your voice, because that is your true weapon. Sun Tzu even says to defeat one's opponent without fighting is of supreme excellence. So if you can use your words to defeat your opponent, when actions speak louder than words, it will save you a lot of actions. This means you have to use your mind with reason and logic, and do so diplomatically in peace, not in grammar tactics of blood sports and warfare.
Well, I think some of it goes back to, was it you who's made that comment of Battle of the Forums?
Yes, that's UCC. Uniform Commercial Code is literally known as Battle of the Forums, and that is something you can look up. Don't believe me, don't believe the neighbor, don't believe the government, for crying out loud, don't believe your mother. Look it up. Battle of the Forums versus UCC. UCC versus Battle of the Forums. Is UCC known as the Battle of Forums? You can ask it in many ways, and it's all going to tell you the same thing. Yes, Uniform Commercial Code is known as the Battle of the Forums. It's all paperwork, folks. The individual's name and number identify the record. That is where the war happens. And as long as you keep believing that that paperwork has to do with you, you're going to keep involving yourself in the war. And it's their person. It's like playing Risk, and all you're doing is playing the play piece on the board. And it's such a minute piece that you really have no effect in the entire game. They're manipulating you to have fun in their game. It's their private club. You're not part of it. You're just a playing piece that they manipulate.
Adam Gonzalez, I'm so sorry to hear that. And my heart goes out to you and all the kids and everybody who had to witness that at a daycare this morning. It's just an impossible thing to have to explain to young children, and certainly a very difficult thing to witness, no matter your age.
Absolutely. And I no longer have children in school, obviously, but it's horrendous to hear the stories of that, because I can only imagine if my son or daughter were in preschool or kindergarten or daycare or something like this, and armed stormtroopers came in. I'd be fucking irate. In the American society where the American dream exists still to this day, and you're going to show those little tiny children what the American dream seems to be in your eyes of force and control. In this Christian society, for crying out loud, folks, we have a mayor, Mamdani, elected in New York, who's a Muslim, in a American society that has some kind of code on the books that says you have to swear an oath under God on the Christian Bible, King James Version. How's that going to happen? I have serious questions as to why people put faith in these other people to be their boss. I mean, are you that illiterate and incompetent that you can't stand up for yourself, that you have to vote in every election for every official there is, for them to be your boss because you can't manage any aspect of your life at all? Where were you indoctrinated to believe that everybody else has authority over you and your voice doesn't count despite the First Amendment? Where does that happen?
School.
There you go. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, huh? You're going to pledge allegiance to the flag and the republic for which it stands, and supposedly under God. Jeremiah 1:5,
I know
before I
that's what
formed thee in the belly, before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee. This is when he wrote the word of love on your heart with the index finger of his right hand, supposedly, according to other scriptures. And before thou camest forth of the mother's womb, I sanctified thee and I ordained thee a prophet unto the nations. And we've been indoctrinated into this public education system to write our legal name and address in a national address format, placating that we're national, and have subdued or subjected ourselves already under that, and have already given up our absolute sanctification and ordination under God. That's mom and dad's doing too, but only because they were indoctrinated as well to indoctrinate their children the same way. When is that change going to break? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say something else about like the Pledge of Allegiance when they were like taking prayer out of the school, and they were like, we're getting rid of prayer out of the school to separate church and state, but nobody could understand that Pledge of Allegiance was prayer. You know what I mean? They just keep doing it. It'd be like, well, you're praying right there. And they'd be like, no, that's not a prayer. And it's like, well, absolutely it is. But it's the same. Or what I started thinking after you got done talking was when it says that the sins of the father or whatever carry on. I think that may have something to do with it too, that indoctrination from the previous generation and the parents before them, and what they were indoctrinated and taught goes down through the generations, because then they put their children in it, and it causes, I guess, that sin to be the sins of the father get carried down through generations.
Well, yeah, that's that indoctrination in the education system that you were talking about. I totally agree. That's one of the biggest problems. Train a child up in the ways of the Lord, and he will not falter. And when it comes to that First Amendment and that prayer and all that, again, I want you to understand the situation with Mamdani. I mention that because the First Amendment says Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion. And here we have a Mamdani coming into mayoral position in New York, and he's going to subscribe an oath on the Bible. So what people aren't recognizing is that Congress already, somewhere along the line, in order for this administrative process to be adherent, you have to take a oath under God by swearing on that Bible. Where did that come in if that First Amendment is valid? How did America come up with that law and nobody said a word about it? This is why I don't swear in the court anymore. I'm not going to swear on no Bible. You want testimony? Let's do it under God. Or the I am, as Christian society is supposed to be calling it. Moses brought the 10 Commandments, and it literally says you're supposed to tell the people I am, and they're to call me I am forever. And then literally the next verse, it goes right back to saying God. Where are the scholars that don't see this shit? And why aren't those simple things pointed out? See, that was the question I had when I quit the church at 15 years of age and got kicked out. Why are you paying attention to the man on the pulpit when the scripture says exactly not to do so? Why are we praying in public in these public temples when the scripture says that we're supposed to pray in private? Where are all these inconsistencies and contradictions coming from, if not for the false interpretation of man and telling me that I should learn how to discern for myself and come up with a better reality that fits more succinctly with the principles found in those scriptures? Therefore, I don't pray privately or publicly at all. I keep it all private. I don't say a word aloud. I keep my thoughts to myself in those situations. I think that's my interpretation of prayer. I hope the best for everybody. And when it comes to each individual that I think about, there are certain circumstances that I'm aware of that I pray that God blesses them in health conditions or business opportunities or setbacks to help them get through it, things like this. That's what I pray for. I don't pray for a mechanism for materialism or wealth or prosperity for anybody. I pray that we all get what we're deserving of, that we all have a enthusiasm about this life and not a deterring look that we need to have this some kind of group think safe space of some kind of popularity of being in with this group. Even the nerds in school, it's a popularity ranking, and when it comes to the truth, you have to be able to stand on it by yourself. You don't need support from anybody else. The truth is as it is. And if you can't stand on that, you're the failure, not somebody else, not some group. It's you. This is why I talk about the man in the mirror. You got to learn how to look at that man in the mirror at the end of the day and see what he thinks. See if he's going to lie to you. And if you sit there and let that man lie to you day in and day out, it only shows your weakness and the cracks in your own mirror. What do you think, brother?
Yeah, I was just taking all that in. Yeah, it's really weird because it's like during that talk, it's like just running things through my own mind, right? Like answering to myself and accepting responsibility within myself. I can look out and go, yeah, did I get thrown under the bus because they threw me under the bus, or did I get thrown under the bus because I refused to speak up?
There you go.
Say, yeah, hey, watch it with that. But it's that same kind of thing. That's what's really weird, right? Because your words are a double-edged sword, right? Because
Oh yeah, I've lost many jobs because of that. I'll tell you about one of them specifically. I didn't lose the job, but an incident at the job was I was working at an oil plant, and there was a maintenance tech there. I was working on the production lines, and he was a maintenance guy, and he was a younger redhead kid, not too far out of high school, and he was easily frustrated with his mechanical abilities or whatever he was, and he would oftentimes throw tools. He would slam them on the ground. He'd slam a wrench on the ground. I thought that fucker would go flying. Finally, I looked at him one day. I said, listen, man, you keep up with that temper and you throw one of them wrenches and it comes up and pops me in the eye and takes me out of my life's work. And I can't have can't be employed and I have to live off the state the rest of my life. I'm going to make you pay for it. I'm going to make you pay for it. And he did it again, and that damn wrench came damn near flying right by my head. I went to the plant manager about it, and he looked at me, and he said, well, that's just Willie. That was the kid's name, Willie. That's just Willie. You just have to learn how to deal with him. Really? He said, yeah. I said, got it. So I dealt with it my own way. And every time I saw him in that plant for the next day, 24 hours straight, not 24 hours straight, but go home, come back the next morning, working 12-hour shifts. So I called him a no good fucking punk ass bitch every time I saw him. And I was standing there with the plant manager and the main business promotion guy. And they were standing there talking about a production line and how to work it so it would speed up and get better production. And I was standing there talking to him about it. And this kid came by, and right in the middle of our conversation, I called him a no good fucking punk ass bitch. These guys looked at me and asked me what the fuck was going on. I said, well, Dave here told me if I had a problem with Willie, it's just the way Willie is, and I have to deal with it my own way. So I'm dealing with my own way. You don't like it? Talk to Dave about it. Guess what? They all recognize the error of their ways. This guy, the business promoter, told the plant manager, you better start listening to these people that are telling you their issues and deal with the issues as you're supposed to. Because if we have this kind of shit going on, the issue's not being addressed. And I agree, the real issue is I don't want my good workers being put out because somebody's having a mental issue with anger issues, throwing wrenches around the place. That is not appropriate in any fashion. So it's a matter of holding accountability to the reality of what the truth is. It wasn't that I was a crybaby or nothing. It's the reality is that the boss doesn't want you to lose your job because Willie throws a wrench and takes your eye out. See, I'm not just crying about me. I'm crying about Willie and the inconsistent idea that a good employment position has somebody like that working for him. You either fix this problem or you're going to end up without employees. It's the same thing with this government. If the people don't stand up and start taking accountability themselves and dealing with the issues themselves, like I had to there, it's going to continue. People are going to keep throwing their wrenches, and people are going to keep getting their eyes taken out. But nobody's going to take accountability for the guy throwing the wrench. You have to start learning how to take accountability, folks, and that's on you. You can't take accountability for Willie. You can take accountability for making what Willie's doing known so that people will say, hey, it's time for some rehabilitation. We don't act like that as an adult in a workplace. These are adult environments, and you can take somebody else out of an employment, and that's not good for us. You want groupthink safe spaces? Make them fucking safe. Quit putting up with the insanity. That's my point of view.
No, I agree, because not even Willie, I guess, is going to take responsibility for the guy throwing the wrenches.
No, that's himself.
Yeah, he doesn't care.
If he did, he would have listened to me the first time and understood that I don't want my eye taken out. He should have realized that if he throws that wrench, he might take his own fucking eye out. People don't think about that. They're so selfish. Period. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the stream. And we're out. We're going to listen to one last song. You got anything on the way out?
No, just have a great evening.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, brother. Thanks for coming up. Feel welcome to come up anytime. And you guys know, just if I don't drop the stream link, just ask me to, and I'll drop the stream link so you can come up. And in the meantime, we are on the way out the door. So let's listen to one last one. Let me get it set up here. Make sure we're watching.
It's a shit show, but it's a hit, yo. Panel full of talkers, all bark, no soul. Drama's on tap, spilling fast and loud. Dollar signs flashing when they rile the crowd. Super chats rolling, they pay for the beef. Truth takes a backseat, clouds the belief. It's a shit show, baby, primetime gold. Numbers climb high while the morals get sold. Turn up the heat, let the chaos flow. Ain't about truth, it's a rodeo. If the views keep coming and the cash still grow, I stop the circus, let the madness go. Fake tears fall and the mic gets cut. One's playing victim, the other talks tough. Receipts get dropped, now the chat's on fire. A digital bonfire built from liars. But every low blow makes the money ring, so they keep on dancing in that drama swing. It's a shit show, baby, primetime gold. Numbers climb high while the malls get sold. Turn up the heat, let the chaos flow. Ain't no God truth, it's a real deal. If the views keep coming and the cash still grow, I stop the circus, let the madness grow. There's a spotlight on the petty, and fame just clicks away. They don't care who they bury, as long as someone pays. It's a shit show, baby, but the lights still shine. Even fake crowns look good online. One big game where the real get paid, but the scoreboard's view, so the lights stay paid. Yeah, it's messy, ugly, and kind of slow, but welcome y'all to the shit show.
Hold up, grab my soda, cause I'm colder than hell. I ain't buying what you sell, it don't ring my bell. Unless it's got the smell, you know, like grape paint. We ain't talking vapes or the color of drapes, or a gorilla in a cape. It's the good shit, just one hit. You so lit, you fall into a bit, non-bit. What's fucking funny is you're a monkey, a high school flunky, hero and junkie, obliteration of the carnation, with gross castrations, huge citations by your intimation. Get real, young man, there's only one stand. You can't stand a suntan, how you gonna live on the land? Obliteration of the carnation, with gross castration, in skewed citations by your intimations. I'm a truth in rotation, you're a cheap imitation. Dark said hums, 808s make the ground shake. Cold as the grave, every word's a land quake. You're a flicker in a cipher, I'm the flame that won't fade. Step into the night where the shadows are made. What's fucking funny is you're a monkey, a high school flunky, hero and junkie. I'm gonna click another hit of this good shit, and I'm already it, so take over this bit, non-bit.
Thank you for joining us at Personality Inventory Mockumentary Productions.